Hey everyone, and welcome back to another World of Warcraft Dragonflight Alpha video. In this video, we finally got Warrior. It's here, so I'm super excited to check out the new Warrior talent trees. That's what we'll be doing in this video. Specifically, we're going to be looking at the Fury talent trees in this video, and also doing a pretty in-depth look at the class side of the talent trees, seeing as how this is the first Warrior video we're doing. So we're going to get into the talents, we're going to take a look at them, and we're going to kind of try to come up with a build that's going to work well in open world content, questing, leveling, doing world quest, that kind of stuff. So before we get started, I wanted to ask you guys to please throw thumbs up on this video and leave comments if you would like to see more videos from me beyond the alpha of Dragonflight. I really am using these videos and this whole situation as a way to gauge the level of interest on the channel to figure out whether or not I want to make more videos in the future. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump in here, and we're gonna take a look first. So we are spec'd Fury, okay? And Fury here has the Berserker Stance. Okay, Berserker Stance as the default ability. So let's drag this down. We will check these out in a minute. We'll see what that's all about. Also, why is it telling me that my weapons... Okay, my weapons are broken. Probably because I need to take a talent that allows me to have two-handers as dual-wield weapons. But we'll see. We'll find out. Alright, so getting into the spellbook, we're going to look at what we have without any talent points invested at all. So we have our Battle Shout. So that is our attack power buff. Let's see, we've got Berserker Stance. Interestingly enough, okay, yeah, it's listed in Warrior. Okay, that makes sense. We've got our Charge. We've got Hamstring, Heroic Throw. We've got our Interrupt with Pummel. We have Shield Block and Shield Slam, which require a shield, but are potentially usable, I guess, regardless of what spec you are. And then we also have Slam, which says requires a melee weapon. Again, I think there's just an issue here with the dual wield for whatever reason. We'll figure that out later. So we'll put Slam down here. And then we also have our Taunt, and we have a Victory Rush. Definitely really good skill to have when questing and leveling. So in the Fury tree, we've got Execute, okay, and we also have Whirlwind, and then we have our passive Dual Wield. You may equip one-handed weapons in your offhand. So I'm assuming we have to get Titan's Grip from somewhere. Right here? No. Oh, it looks like it's going to be... There it is. Titan's Grip will allow you to dual wield. Okay, so currently, because we don't have Titan's Grip, it's telling us that our weapons are broken. So let me see if it will give us... It should give us two one-handers, and we can just equip those for right now. So we have a one-handed axe. Okay. Why did it only give us... Okay, so we have a two-hand, one-hand, two-hand. Why did it only give us one-hander? That is odd. Alright, well, we're going to equip that. And then we're going to, I guess, use this thing to get another one. Okay. So now at least our abilities like Slam will register that we have a melee weapon. Some pretty cool axes, actually. Not bad for some greens. Okay, so we do have dual wield. We can equip a one-handed weapons in our offhand. We also have enraged, so we become enraged right now via bloodthirst. We got a 30% chance for bloodthirst to enrage us. Becoming enraged increases our damage done by 32%. And then our mastery is Unshackled Fury. This increases our damage done while enraged. Okay, so I'm assuming that this number up top is tied directly to our mastery. So if our mastery changes, this 32% should change as well, I believe. Okay, so that gets us into the talents. As of right now, there's not really a whole lot for us to do. It looks like we have, Whirlwind to deal AoE damage, build up rage from taking hits, and then we can spend rage on slam. We have execute for a low level target, and then we have victory rush again, usable 20 seconds after we kill an enemy that yields experience or honor. So not a whole lot going on here. This is definitely not a build. So let's get in and take a look at the warrior side of the tree here and just see what's going on. Let's check out this berserker's stance, right? So this is something we got by default for being fury. So this says it's to be determined / work in progress. So these trees just came out. There's probably going to be a lot of work that goes into them, but it's a 3-second cooldown. I'm assuming that's going to discourage you from doing too much stance swapping on the fly. This is an aggressive combo state that increases the damage of your auto attacks by 5% and reduces the effectiveness of fear, sap, and incapacitate effects on you by 15%. Okay, so we get some auto attack damage increase, which is good with dual wielding. And then we get some CC reduction. Alright, so we're going to take a look at the class side of the tree. We're going to start by looking at the active abilities we can get, which are going to be the ones that are in these boxes here. Then we're going to look at our choice nodes, which are the ones that have the arrows. And then finally, we're going to look at the passives, which are the circle nodes, as we go through and kind of create our build. So I'm guessing the rest of these are stances. Yes. So we have defensive stance, which reduces all damage you take by 20% and reduces all damage you deal by 10%. So we could pick that up theoretically if we wanted to off tank, or we just wanted to be tankier when we were out there questing or something. We could reduce our damage to reduce damage taken. That's a possibility. We also have battle stance. So this is going to be the one for arms. This is a balanced combat state that increases critical strike chance by 3% and reduces the effectiveness of movement impairing effects on you by 15%. So some crit chance, some damage reduction, and some auto attack damage increase is kind of what I'm taking away from these as the highlights, at least in terms of outdoor content. So then we have Rallying Cry, so 3-minute cooldown, which is going to temporarily boost maximum health of party members by 15%. As we go through these, I'm going to assume you have some basic working knowledge of Warrior. I won't necessarily read every single one of these, but I will touch on the ones that I need a refresher for, or anything that looks new, like all these stances. So 3-minute cooldown, Rallying Cry. I've never found that super useful in outdoor content unless you were in a hairy situation or you were gonna fight a rare spawn or something like that. Then we have Berserker's Rage. So 1-minute cooldown here, and it grants you immunity to fear, sap, incapacitate, and also removes them. This is another one that I rarely find useful when questing, but it's not terrible. Sometimes you do run into enemies where they will fear you or something like that, and it's nice to be able to hit this and just get rid of it. All right, we have Spell Reflection. Reduce the magic damage you take. So, another one here. You can use it when questing. There are some enemies that do this, but rather than counter their spells, a lot of times you could just kill them faster. So that's what I tend to do. Berserker Shout, 1-minute cooldown. So this looks like I have an incoming call. We're gonna mute that. Sorry about that. So Berserker's Shout is the exact same thing as Berserker's Rage, right? Go Berserk, removing and granting immunity to fear, sap, and incapacitate for 6 seconds. Go Berserk, removing and granting immunity to fear, sap, and incapacitate. So is that going to give us... What the heck? Okay, that's just odd. I I'm really not sure why it wouldn't just be like 2 charges of Berserker's Rage or something. That's odd, and maybe it's like not supposed to be like that, but that's weird. That's doubling up on a effect that I don't really care about that much in open world content. Then we have Heroic Leap, absolutely awesome. Nice movement skill. We got Intimidating Shout, 1.5-minute cooldown that causes enemies to cower in fear, and up to 5 additional enemies within 8 yards to flee. Don't love this one too much either. Anything that makes things run away, fear, flee, that kind of stuff has a tendency to aggro extra crap that you don't want. So I prefer like a stun or a disorient or something that kind of keeps them in the same place. We got Thunderclap. So interesting that we can pick that up, and it doesn't seem to require anything like specific here. So it's going to do physical damage, reduce movement speed. That's pretty much it. It does cost rage. We're probably going to want to spend our rage on something else besides Thunderclap, but we'll see. We got Die by the Sword, 2-minute cooldown, increase your parry chance and reduce all damage you take, so a little defensive cooldown. We've got Spear of Bastion, so the Kyrian ability here, you throw a spear, it deals damage instantly and then additional damage over 4 seconds. And enemies hit are chained to the spear's location for the duration. Super cool ability. Actually, just really cool ability. We've got Avatar, so that turns us into a Colossus and increases the damage we deal. And usually there was some kind of combination to like be able to spam Thunderclap in Avatar. We'll see if that's still in. Got Bitter Immunity, 3-minute cooldown, restores 20% health instantly and removes all diseases, poisons, curses, and bleeds affecting you. So like a super strong defensive here that actually does some healing. Most likely not necessary, especially on a 3-minute cooldown, but cool nonetheless. We got Shockwave. So 40-second cooldown here. It does an AoE in front of you. This stuns all enemies within 10 yards for 2 seconds. So this is what I would rather have over like Intimidating Shout. I'd rather have Shockwave. It's cool that we can get that though. Like a 40-second AoE stun is not bad to have, actually. And then we have Thunderous Roar. So it looks like they kind of modified this from Dragon's Roar. 45-second cooldown. It says to be determined, work in progress. Roar explosively in a 16-yard frontal cone, causing physical damage and causing enemies to bleed over 9 seconds. Those numbers are not super impressive. 700 physical damage in an AoE and then 450 over time. Yeah, those numbers... Yeah, they're not very impressive. Okay, so let's look at the choice nodes. So the first one we have here is Stormbolt. So this is a 30-second cooldown stun for 4 seconds. Really good. And Titanic Throw. So this throws damage to the enemies and throws a weapon at the enemy and generates a lot of threat. So really good if you're going to be tanking, but I mean, Stormbolt is just way better for like solo content. And we have Impending Victory. So this is the modification to our Victory Rush skill, one that I like quite a bit. So you attack the target, deal some damage, heal back 40% of your maximum health. And if you kill an enemy that yields experience or honor, then the cooldown is reset and it costs no rage. Alternatively, we have Piercing Howl, which snares all enemies, reducing their movement speed. I mean, Impending Victory is the clear winner in this choice node for me. I feel like right now for like open world content, those are both just clear choices for me. There's no ambiguity there. Next we have Rend. So this wounds the target. It does a pretty hefty bleed, but it's over 15 seconds, which is quite a bit of time. And then alternatively, we have Pain and Gain. When you take damage, you heal for a percentage of your maximum health. This can only occur once every 10 seconds. I mean, I would basically think I would take that one. given the option. Next, we have Shattering Throw. So this does damage, and it does increase damage to absorb shields. And then alternatively, we have Bounding Stride. So this is going to reduce the cooldown on Heroic Leap, and Heroic Leap also will increase your run speed. That's kind of the clear winner there for me as well. Next, we have a choice between Blood and Thunder. Increases the damage of Thunderclap by 10%, and whenever you Thunderclap a target affected by Rend, you also affect 5 nearby targets with Rend. That's actually kind of cool. I wouldn't take this, but that's a cool effect. And then we have Crackling Thunder, so increase the radius of Thunderclap and reduce the movement speed. Next, we have One-Handed Weapon Specialization, so increase Leech by 10%, but it doesn't actually require a one-handed weapon, it looks like. Or Dauntless Duelist. The first enemy you damage in combat is marked as your adversary. You deal more damage to them, and they deal less damage to you. You can only have one adversary at a time. That seems pretty good. Like, either one of these I think is okay. Like, Leech is going to give you some passive life gain, and then with Dauntless Duelist, you know, if you're kind of going from enemy to enemy to enemy to enemy, you're going to get that buff almost all the time. Even if you pull like 2 or 3 enemies or something like that, you're going to get bonus damage on one of them. So I think for this one, I'd have to see like, how does it play out? Like, if you're pulling, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5 things at a time, then you're probably better off just getting the Leech. But if you're going to pull a target and then just kind of chain from one to the other with your rotation, Dauntless Duelist could be pretty good. Okay, then we have Elysian Might. Spear of Bastion's duration is increased, and while you remain in the area, your critical strike damage is increased by 25%. Or Spear of Bastion's instant damage and rage generation are increased by 30%. I would probably take the instant damage increase here, I think. Like, the duration is 4 seconds, so you could increase it to 8 seconds. Or you could just have it do a chunk more damage in the beginning. Okay, and then here we have Signet of Tormented Kings. Activating Blade Storm, Recklessness, or Avatar, randomly cast one of the other 2 abilities at reduced effectiveness. This is a really cool talent. I believe this was a Torghast like legendary effect. It's super cool to have. Just in general, it makes playing a lot more fun. So I like that one. And then Avatar increases the damage of Thunderclap by 50% and reduces its cooldown by 50%. So just kind of looking through the active abilities and the choices, I'm a little more interested by some of the choices we have, like Stormbolt, Impending Victory, and stuff like that, than I am by a lot of the actives. On the actives, I mean, generally everything here sounds decent. Spear of Bastion sounds good. Avatar's okay. Shockwave is pretty decent. Thunderous Roar, like right now, it's kind of weird, right? Because I feel like Shockwave is a good ability, but should it be on the same tier as Spear of Bastion? You know, like Spear of Bastion is doing 3,500 damage. Shockwave is doing 600 with a 2-second AoE stun. Like, I don't really know, like, are those actually comparable? I'm not sure. I'm really not. All right, so let's go through and try to build this out and look at the passives. Like I said, I'm not particularly pulled in any one direction. I want to stay away from whatever the heck this is. You know, that just looks gross. Oh, we didn't see this choice. So we get Intervene, run at high speed towards an ally, or we get Second Wind, restores health when you've not taken damage. That's super good. So, I mean, I would basically grab Defensive Stance and then also grab Second Wind just to have, like, between enemy regeneration. That's pretty nice. So over here we have a movement speed increase by 5%. Good. Here we have increased leech. Good. Well, we definitely want to get heroic leap, so we'll go there. Then we have a choice here. I like to pick up impending victory, so I would do that. Here we have damage of bloodthirst, slam, shield slam, and whirlwind increase. That seems like really solid for fury. We've got 2 points left we have to put in. I don't want this. I don't want this. Rallying cries duration and health granted are increased. Not particularly interested in that. Increase the maximum number of charges on charge by 1 and reduce the cooldown by 3 seconds. That is very good. And going to this node requires us to go to the movement speed node. So, or we can go through Rallying Cry, but I think, you know, at this point, we're just gonna go that direction. Okay, so next we have cooldown of Pummel, Shield Slam, Overpower, and Bloodthirst are reduced. That's definitely like an arms talent, unless they changed it. Yeah, well, Bloodthirst, okay, it is like generic. So Shield Slam is prot, Overpower's arms. Bloodthirst is fury, and then Pummel is just your interrupt. So this is, yeah, this does apply to everything, so you could take that. And that goes into execute being usable on targets below 35% health. Over here we have intimidating shout. Yeah, I don't care. Your auto attacks generate more rage. Killing an enemy instantly generates 10 rage and increases your movement speed. This is super good for questing. Let's grab that. And then here we can reduce the cooldown of heroic leap. If whirlwind hits 3 or more enemies, it hits them 1 additional time for 50% damage. That's decent. Max rage increased by 30. Damage of shield slam and slam is increased. So I'm not super interested in this path. What do we have here? Increase stamina by 10%. Increase armor by 60% of your strength, I'm assuming. Yeah, not super interested in this path. Let's see. That's all the thunderclap stuff. Stormbolt would be good here. All right, let's grab 1, 2. Your abilities that cost rage have a 20% chance to immediately refund 20% of the rage spent. Yes, let's do that. We got 7 points left. We'll do double time. We'll pick up Stormbolt. We'll grab honed reflexes here. I think, like, what do we have here? You gain strength equal to 10% of your armor value, and that goes into die by the sword. We have 4 points to spend. Man. Okay, let's get execute. Let's get pain and gain. Let's get arm to the teeth. And I guess we go die by the sword. We'll see. We may change that. Okay. But we actually can connect to everything here. So this is increased critical chance. And that goes into Spear of Bastion, or over here, this is work in progress, allows dual wield. Increase your damage dealt when using a single two-handed weapon by 5. So yeah, we're not going to do that. All right. And then here we have when Shockwave strikes at least 3 targets, its cooldown is reduced by 15 seconds. Really nice on Protection Warrior for dungeons and stuff like that. We've got increased haste. Increase your damage while dual wielding. And then here, another work in progress. Thunderous Roar knocks enemies down and causes 2 aftershocks that deal damage, and each aftershock generates additional rage. Okay, so we got 6 points. I think we're going to go for haste, damage while dual wielding, Thunderous Roar, and Thunderous Aftershocks. And that will be our warrior side of the tree here. So we got Heroic Leap. We got a defensive with Die by the Sword. We picked up Dragon's Roar, and we picked up Stormbolt. So yeah, I think that's probably what we would do. Just looking through here, You know, there may be a case to grab like Stamina Shockwave or something. There may be a case to go down Crit into Spirit Bastion into one of these. I think there's a couple different things we can do. It seems like for the most part, you know, we want to take this right side of the tree because of like the dual wielding rage generation, all that kind of good stuff seems nice. I didn't love putting the points in over here. I didn't hate it, but I don't love it either. But this middle section is very like prot warrior, you know, CC utility type stuff that I just don't care about. I could potentially see getting rid of this die by the sword since we didn't actually continue down the tree, just to get like a point in Berserker's Rage, or maybe a point, yeah, probably Berserker's Rage, something like that. All right. So now we're going to look at the Fury side of the tree here. We're going to do the same thing. You know, we just did actives, choice nodes, and then passives. So we have to get Bloodthirst, which makes sense. So this is going to deal damage, restore some of our health, generate rage. It has a cooldown, and also it is the ability currently that has a chance to enrage us, which will increase our damage. So we'll get that. Looks like we have to get Raging Blow as well. So this is another ability we have that will generate rage. So we're going to have these two abilities. Okay, now we can get Enraged Regeneration. So this is a 2-minute cooldown, reduce damage taken, and Bloodthirst will restore additional health. We can use it while stunned. So a defensive we have to use. Then we have Rampage. So Rampage, we definitely want to get. So it looks like we're going down this tree. But this is going to do 4 brutal strikes for a pretty good amount of damage here. We've got Onslaught, so 16-second cooldown that's going to attack the enemy and generate some rage. We got Recklessness, 1.5-minute cooldown, increases rage regen and grants our abilities increased critical strike chance. We've got Odin's Fury, so unleash your power, dealing a bunch of physical damage and additional damage over 4 seconds to all enemies within 12 yards. Siegebreaker, 30-second cooldown, so this does damage and increases the damage we deal to targets by 15%. And then we have Ravager, so this is the one that throws out the weapon that does AoE over 10 seconds. So based on the actives, I mean, I feel like we're going to have to get Rampage. I don't know if Rampage is mandatory, but it's pretty much always been mandatory for Fury, so I would find it odd if we didn't have to take it. I know there's some builds I played with Onslaught. Recklessness is a solid cooldown. Odin's Fury seems decent. Siegebreaker, I've used that one before too, and then Ravager is really good. So, I mean, just generally, it looks like no matter what direction we go, we're going to end up with some good stuff. We got 2 choice nodes. So the first one here, it's every 20 rage you spend reduces the remaining cooldown on Recklessness by 1 second. So there is like a Recklessness build. I find that's better if you're going to be in dungeons or raids, and you can try to chain through your rotation to get Recklessness down and spam that a bunch of times. It's a little awkward to use when you're leveling. Or Recklessness generates 50 rage and greatly empowers Bloodthirst and Raging Blow. So that one I tend to like a little bit better for leveling because it turns this 1.5-minute cooldown into something even more awesome that you can use on a elite or a rare spawn or something like that. And then down here, the last choice node we have is Sidearm. Auto attacks have a 15% chance to hurl weapons at your target and 3 other enemies in front of you. Okay, dealing additional damage. It's weird, but also, I guess, interesting. It's kind of a AoE sort of thing. Annihilator. Your auto attacks with one-handed weapons deal an additional amount of physical damage. So this is if you're going to go for one-handed dual-wield Fury, which is generally what I prefer to do. I like that a little bit better. Feels faster. Okay. So, yeah, nothing there really stood out to me, but there are a ton of passives. So, let's see what we can get ourselves into. So, as of right now, we basically have let's see, let's set these up just a little bit so they kind of make sense. So, right now, we have Bloodthirst, which we use on cooldown. We have Raging Blow, which we can use on cooldown. We have Whirlwind, which we will basically use right now when those two are on cooldown or in an AoE situation. And then we can spend our Rage on Slam. Outside of spending our Rage on Slam, we don't really have anything to do with it right now. We can execute on low health targets, and we can also impending victory as well to get some health back. So nothing too crazy going on. So we have a lot of options. All right, so let's see. We got to spend 6 points in this tier up here. Like I said, there's a lot of passives. I feel like we're going to have to get Rampage, so we're probably going to have to get Enraged Regeneration, but we'll look through and see. Execute no longer costs Rage and now generates 20 Rage. Now, here, it doesn't say that Execute costs any Rage, so I'm assuming the tooltip is off, and Execute's going to be another thing that we can spend Rage on. So if we apply this, yeah, now it says generates 20 Rage. If we remove it, that goes away, but it doesn't say that it costs Rage. So let's assume that it does cost Rage, and the tooltip is wrong. Okay, so no longer costs Rage, now generates 20 Rage, and that goes into Bloodthirst damage increased by 30%. Here we have Enrage increase your haste and movement speed, and that goes into Raging Blow has 2 charges and a chance to instantly reset its own cooldown. I've always liked that build, so I'm drawn to that already. And then here we got 4 different passives tied in. You take 10% reduced damage while Enrage is active. The cooldown of Pummel is reduced, and successfully interrupting an enemy increases the damage you deal against them, and this can only happen once every 30 seconds. So I don't value this effect all that highly. We get a faster interrupt. If we successfully interrupt, we get 5% increased damage only every 30 seconds. Just doesn't seem that great in leveling content, like maybe PvP or very specific like dungeons or raids where you know you're going to need to interrupt a lot anyway. Enraged regeneration lasts 25% longer and instantly heals for 20%. Or your attacks have a chance to reset the cooldown of Execute and make it usable on any target regardless of their health. So both of those are decently good. Like I said, I feel like we're going to have to get Rampage, so let's go ahead and pick up Enraged Regeneration. I don't want this concussive blows. War Paint is okay. Enraged Regeneration will last for 10 seconds and it instantly heals you. I like the instant healing there, since you're mainly going to pop this to try to heal yourself anyway. So let's pick that up. We got 4 more points to spend. Right now, I'm going to go this direction over here towards the Raging Blow kind of modification. But I think we'll also just go this way too. So that kind of puts us into both trees if we want to go there. All right, so on the left side, this goes into a little diamond here we'll take a look at. Focusing Chaos. Your auto attacks have no penalty to hit from dual wielding during Enrage. Okay, that's pretty good. While dual wielding a pair of one-handed weapons, your damage done is increased and your movement speed is increased. Bloodthirst increases the critical strike chance of your next Bloodthirst by 10%, stacking up to 5 times. Bloodthirst always enrages you the first time you strike a target and has a 15% increased chance to trigger Enrage. Increases auto attack damage with one-handed weapons by 10%, and your auto attack critical strikes have a 50% chance to enrage you. I wonder, does that go to 100? No, it stays at 50, but they deal more damage. Okay. Bloodthirst deals increased damage to enemies below 35% health. Bloodthirst critical strikes generate additional rage and inflict a gushing wound that leeches health over 6 seconds. And that all goes into increased critical strike chance. Alright, we're going to pick up Rampage. I just feel like we have to have it. So we have Rampage increases your haste for 12 seconds, stacking up to 4 times. This effect is reset if you Rampage a different primary target. Rampage causes you to become enraged, and Rampage damage is increased by 20%. So Rampage will spend Rage, deal a bunch of damage in general. So it becomes the Rage spender basically instead of Slam. Over here we have Whirlwind improvements, so it causes your next 2 single target attacks to strike up to 4 additional targets for 45% damage. It no longer costs Rage, and instead it generates Rage. So it looks like we have another like weird bug or something here. Because we shouldn't be able to cast this right now if it cost Rage, and this is saying it would no longer cost Rage. So I like picking that up just in general, because that's basically what enables halfway decent AoE on a Fury Warrior. I think we're probably going to end up getting that, whether or not we continue down this side of the tree. While in Rage, Raging Blow deals 20% more damage and has a 30% chance to instantly reset its own cooldown. That's on top of the 20% it has anyway. Whirlwind does more damage and now affects your next 3 single target melee attacks instead of 2. We got Titan's Grip, so you can dual wield 2-handed weapons. Wrath and Fury, damage of Raging Blow is increased. Got Onslaught here. So this does a nice chunk of damage and generates a nice chunk of rage, but it requires you to be enraged. And going into that, Onslaught generates more rage and enrages you for 8 seconds. And that goes into Mastery. So here, these middle ones that modify Rampage go into Recklessness, and then we have Haste and Versatility. So we literally just have like a stat line here. So there's a lot going on, a lot of choices, a lot of builds. I think some of this stuff is placed a little weird, but maybe not. So here, we've just got straight up buffs to one-handed. On this tree, we've got basically a Bloodthirst Execute kind of line we could take. And on this one here, we have the Bloodthirst enrages you the first time you hit a target. So this can be combined with some other stuff in the tree to guarantee that you are always enraged the first time you attack a target, and then you can combine that with other stuff in the tree where it requires you to be enraged, like Onslaught. So you can basically Bloodthirst into Onslaught, or you can Bloodthirst and now all of a sudden your Cruelty. You're guaranteed to have that increased damage on Raging Blow, plus the increased chance to reset the cooldown. Over here, like, again, I think you just take Improved Whirlwind at least 1 point to enable your AoE in general. Titan's Grip if you want to do it, and I'm guessing they're kind of setting Raging Blow up as a 2-handed sort of weapon ability, and setting up Bloodthirst is maybe kind of the one-handed one. And then we've got the Onslaught, little bonuses here. So lots of different things you can do here, and I'm not quite sure like which one I prefer. I usually like the Raging Blow sort of build, and I think like coming here, you have to get Raging Blow anyway, right? It's going to be part of your rotation. Right, so coming this far to get Whirlwind, I think is definitely a good idea. Like I said, that's going to enable your AoE. So the question is, where do we want to go down here on the bottom? Because that'll kind of determine what route we want to take on these trees. So we know we got all stats here. I'm not overly concerned about which one we pick. So here we have Odin's Fury. We have Cadence of Fujieda. What? Okay. Bloodthirst increases your haste by 1% for 12 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. So yeah, I'm just getting speed from this side. And then bleed damage of Odin's Fury, Thunderous Roar, and Gushing Wound is increased. Here we have Recklessness lasts 3 seconds longer, up from 12, or Rampage has a 30% chance to refund a charge of Raging Blow. And then over here we have Siegebreaker's damage increased and duration increased, or Ravager's duration increased by 2 seconds. So like I said, there's a bunch of different ways we can go here, but I think that I want to try to go for this this one-handed build. So we're going to grab this one. Your auto attacks have no penalty to hit from dual wielding during Enrage. And then we're going to hit Bloodthirst always enrages you the first time you hit a target. So we'll be enraged, right? As soon as we Bloodthirst. Then we're going to come over here, and our damage done and movement speed is going to be increased with one-handed weapons. Auto attack damage with one-handed weapons is going to be increased, and our critical strikes will have a chance to enrage us. From here, I think I want to pick up 1 point in cruelty. Right, so that's going to get me, while enraged, Raging Blow deals 20% more damage and has a chance to reset its cooldown. So we're going to come in and we're going to hit Bloodthirst and we're going to be enraged. From here, I think we get Rampage causes you to become enraged, and Rampage damage is increased. We have to spend 2 more points. So Bloodthirst critical strikes generate additional rage and inflict a gushing wound. Bloodthirst increases the critical strike chance of your next Bloodthirst, and that goes into Bloodthirst deals increased damage to enemies. So this is like the execute version. I think we pick up Recklessness with 1 point to have that. And then I think maybe we grab Onslaught. And we come down for critical chance. Bloodthirst increases your haste. Auto attacks deal additional damage. And we got 1 point left, so just grab Odin's Fury. We'll have to test this for sure, but... Alright, so we have a defensive cooldown there. We've got Rampage, we've got our Recklessness, we've got Odin's Fury, and we have Onslaught. So our basic game plan here is going to be to Bloodthirst, right? So we're going to Bloodthirst. That's guaranteed to enrage us. Okay, it's going to do more damage. While enraged, our auto attacks are going to have no penalty to hit. And then... Let's see... Our Raging Blow is going to have an increased chance to reset its cooldown. Then passively, we're going to have no penalty. Okay, yeah, no penalty to hit. We're going to have increased damage and movement speed, increased auto attack damage, and a chance to be enraged by auto attack damage. Our Bloodthirst is gonna increase our haste, so by 1% for sure. So basically, we're just gonna hopefully hit fast and hit accurately with our one-handers. We're gonna hit Bloodthirst, right? Bloodthirst, we're gonna want to go into Onslaught right away because we'll be enraged, and then we'll go into Raging Blow. And then from Raging Blow, we basically want to Rampage once we have enough. Get rid of Slam entirely. Yeah, so basically we rampage, we onslaught, we raging blow. When we have enough, we bloodthirst, onslaught, raging blow. When we have enough, we rampage. We can execute to finish the target, which we won't be able to do against the target dummies. We can impending victory against the target to restore our maximum or restore our health, which we won't be able to do on the dummy. And if we want to do AoE first, then we are going to whirlwind and then do our rotation and slide in whirlwinds. In this case, we whirlwinds 2 attacks. Whirlwind 2 attacks. I almost wonder if it's worth getting rid of Odin's Fury or something to grab the extra points in Whirlwind here so that it's Whirlwind 3 attacks instead of 2 attacks. But we'll have to see in testing. But let's just go take a look at the generic build that we have going on here. So again, we're gonna rampage or bloodthirst, onslaught, raging blow, rampage, bloodthirst. All right, raging blow, bloodthirst. I mean, at this point, whatever we're fighting is pretty much dead. We didn't get any resets on our raging blow, which is kind of surprising. There we go, we got one. But we can basically cycle through these abilities. And yeah, I mean, whatever we're fighting is most likely dead. Like a partial rotation in. So in addition to those things, we do have the Thunderous Roar. And again, we would have a little more opportunity here because probably by the time we're hitting the 3rd Bloodthirst on this rotation, we're on a different target and we're getting the guaranteed Enrage from that. But we also have Odin's Fury that we can drop in there as well. Again, like I said, if we want to AoE, we just Whirlwind first. And every 2 abilities, we Whirlwind. Pretty much. So I think this build will do fine. There's definitely a lot of ways we could tweak it. Like I said, we can go some different directions here. Like I'm wondering if like we just want to pull out and put a point or 2 into Meat Cleaver. You know, actually putting a point into Pulverize would probably be good because Onslaught will then enrage us for 10 seconds. I actually wonder, does that stack? Let's take a look. So we get an Enrage from Bloodthirst. We'll get an Enrage from Onslaught. And then we'll also get an Enrage from Rampage. So I think I think it's 3 seconds or something by default. Yeah, it doesn't say, but let's look. So yeah, 3 seconds, 7 seconds. It looks like the Enrages don't really increase the time. Oh, they are increasing the time. It's just the generic Enrage is only 3 seconds, so we get a big Enrage. Like, look at this. Oh, sorry. 2, 1. It jumps up to 7. It's only enraging us for 6 seconds. Seems like a bug. Right? Because this says... Oh, 8 seconds. Okay, never mind. Never mind, it's right. 10 rage, 8 seconds. So yeah, I think this is probably the build that I will want to test out. Like I've said before, we're going to take all of the specializations out once we've got the builds for them created, and we'll go test them out in actual outdoor content, do a couple quests, check for modifications, see if there's anything we want to do to tweak that kind of stuff. I've done that already for Shaman and Hunter as of the making of this video. I'll probably have done a few more before this video actually gets published, but you can check those out. I'm trying to do them as live streams, so that's where you want to look for them on the channel. That being said, once again, you guys, let me know via thumbs up or, you know, comments on the video whether or not you guys are liking the series, and you're going to want to see more content from me post alpha. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. I had fun making it. I appreciate you watching it, and I'll see you on the next one.